It is an honor to have a Kentucky native back in her home state in the city that she selected as the backdrop for her first novel. We are so excited to be kicking off Black History Month here at GRAC with amazing talented Jacinda Townsend. Please take this moment to turn your cell phones off for the duration of the performance. Before we begin, we would like to thank our sponsors for this evening, the Du Bois Community Center and their board members, Tanya Jones and Valerie Scott. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you both for being such wonderful leaders in our community. We look forward to further partnership between the Arts Center and the city. We would also like to thank South Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Kentucky Council of the Arts for contributing to this event. Tonight's program is being live streamed on our Facebook page and will be available to view as an archive after this evening's talk. The Gateway Regional Arts Center is quickly becoming a statewide leader in the visual, literary, and performing arts. Our programs are expanding, our staff is growing, and the number of people we impact in critical ways is increasing. That's why we also want to thank you, the patrons of the arts, for visiting Mount Sterling today and supporting cultural activities here in small-town America. Tonight's ticket sales goes directly back to the community arts programming, much of it free and low cost for our youth, senior citizens, and folks from across the Gateway region. We encourage you to check out the other events, initiatives, classes, and educational programs we have available on our website, grackentucky.org. And if you really want to get involved, we encourage you to volunteer your time here at the Arts Center on a committee or an event. We welcome all. Our new slogan is all the arts for all people, and we really do mean all. So we welcome you, and we hope to see you here again very soon. Don't miss our first gallery opening of 2023 on March 3rd, entitled Good Dolly, Miss Dolly, celebrating the illustrious career of Dolly Parton. There will be a Dolly-inspired art from across the nation, a Dolly look-alike contest, and even a concert with local band Red Hot and the Dry Ice. We will also announce our full gallery season that evening. You definitely don't want to miss it. Now, at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our executive director and the moderator for tonight's discussion. Jordan Campbell is an award-winning actor and now an emerging leader in the global arts and culture sector. With a career that spans the fields of theater, education, and policy, Jordan leverages his background in acting for a wide array of creative initiatives and art. Originally from Mount Sterling, Kentucky, he is proud to be back home, leading the Gateway Regional Arts Center into a new era of cultural vibrancy. And we are certainly glad to have him back here too. Jordan has performed for audiences around the world, including shows on the U.S. and international Broadway tours at Carnegie Hall, John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, and the Grand Ole Opry. He's also worked in film, TV, and on national commercials. Jordan also worked on arts and cultural issues at the White House during the Obama administration. He's a published author on the topic of the arts in American communities. Please help me welcome our Executive Director, Jordan Campbell.
Thank you, Crystal, for that wonderful introduction for our program tonight. What, nobody wanted the front row? Well, how do y'all think I'm doing in my first 6 months on the job? Am I doing okay? Seriously, we are experiencing a lot of energy here, electric energy in this, what I think of as a hallowed institution of the arts. And I know I couldn't do it without my stellar team, many of whom are standing around the back right now, so we can look back there and see them waiting for their moment to shine, which is coming soon. But I also want to thank you who support us in this wonderful community that we love. You know, we have our Eastern Kentucky Academy that was just released on WKYT a few weeks ago, and we have more than 75 class sessions, 75, can you imagine, available for folks to take part of in this community. 75, I can't, that number, you know. Everything ranging from painting and theater to cooking classes and how to play the dulcimer. Alan, I'm looking at you. Ballroom dance, paint and sips, youth drawing classes, and so much more. There's actually a paint sip happening right now upstairs. So we have multiple things going on at one time, which is great. How can you choose, right? So we hope you'll sign up for classes, because we're actually selling out of many of them already, so we hope you'll sign up. So go to our website, GRAC, G-R-A-C Kentucky, spelled out, grackentucky.org/academy, and register for your favorites today. Now, all of our success here, we're so happy about, is built upon a strong foundation. And that is what the first part of our evening is going to be about. We'll be welcoming Jacinda to the stage very soon, but first, we want to make a tribute to someone who has made such a fundamental impact in this community. So to get started on this little tribute here, I'd like to welcome to the stage our newly upgraded full-time staff member, our third full-time staff member, Sinclair Marie, the Education and Events Manager at GRAC. Please welcome Sinclair. She's a visual artist.
As I was saying, we are excited to be upscaling all of the programming at the Arts Center into multiple areas of work as we continue on the path to becoming a state leader in arts and culture. As Jordan mentioned, our academy has classes for everyone, and we hope you will join us for one of those, or all of them. Please find me tonight after the program if you would like to talk further about the opportunities we have available. We also have our wonderful events that have been the hallmark of the Regional Arts Center for many years. I'm still new to the organization, but I have always heard that there is one person who was the driving force behind these wonderful events. And with that, we would like to welcome Kaylee to the stage.
Standing ovation as she deserves. Kay Rainey Lane, what is there to say? Don't worry, I have something to say. I remember being a young person here in Montgomery County and loving theater. I was a little weird theater kid. And I was just drawn to the arts, much to the dismay of my family who had built a sports legacy here in our town. I didn't really like sports. And even though I grew up on a farm in Jeffersonville, agriculture also wasn't my thing. But there was one place that I truly felt alive. It was a little storefront on Main Street, just right across the street from here, the Gallery for the Arts. And I, of course, loved any chance to be on the stage. I don't know if you can tell, but I love to be on the stage. In fact, I actually performed my first play I ever performed on this very stage where we're standing now, which still gives me goosebumps. So many wonderful things that happen here. There are many people to thank. Many of whom are in this audience. But there was one person in particular in this community who was the driving force, who really kept the engine moving. From her passion for community and her love of the arts, Kay Lane built a cohort of like-minded folks who also loved art, music, theater, and dance. And she was the Sherpa that made this place a reality in 2009. And boy, can this woman fundraise, let me tell you. I learned so much of what I know from her, and I'm truly honored to occupy her upstairs office in the Arts Center. Now, she too is humble and won't ever accept the praise that she rightfully deserves. Because that's the kind of person that Kay Lane is. But tonight, we won't let her get away with it. I'm in the job now, and so you're getting honored. So today, to honor Kay's contributions, I would like to welcome to the stage is Pam Henderson here. Pam, come on up, Pam Henderson, her faithful executive assistant. So Pam is going to help us honor Kate tonight. We're glad to have Pam here. Now, as you all might have noticed, you are here tonight at our first public event for 2023 calendar year. So thank you for coming. And as such, we are ready to unveil a new series of programming. So in honor of her decades of tireless commitment, you ready to say? In honor of her decades of commitment to this community, region, and state, we are proud tonight to announce the creation of the K.R. Lane event series at the Gateway Regional Arts Center. So now every time you buy a ticket to an event, it's going to have Kay's name on it. So now we have another little surprise for her. So stay here. Don't go anywhere, Kay. As you might know, as you came up to our building tonight, our building sits on Main Street historically. That is our address is on Main Street in downtown North Sterling. Now, while our main entrance, though, is on North Wilson Alley. I've talked to Mayor Botts. Is he here tonight? He's not? Okay, good. No, I'm kidding. No, I love Botts. I've actually talked to him about changing the name of the street to Arts Alley or something like that. And come to find out, it's actually a lot of red tape. It's very hard to change the name of the street. You've got to get signatures and go to city council. There's a lot involved. So we threw that out the window. But what we can do is give it a ceremonial name, which is why tonight we are excited to unveil that. Everyone help us out. We will now be ceremoniously known as Kate Rainey Lane. Just a coincidence that her last name is Lane, so that worked out perfectly. Leave it on a lamppost. Hey, Lane. On her lamppost now. So we are. We'll put up the sign for real outside after tonight. Don't worry, it won't stay in here. But we're so excited to honor Kay tonight for all of her tireless work. And now that I'm in the job, I can tell you that it's tireless. It's a 24/7 operation, isn't it, Kay? So we thank you, Kay, for your inspiration, for your hard work, and for your dedication to this community. You built this. Would you like to say anything?
I'm so thrilled. Thank you. It's quite an honor. I really appreciate it. But we all know that it takes a whole bunch of people to make this happen. And I know there's some in this room, unfortunately, I can't see everybody. But it was definitely a community effort to bring this building into an arts center. And I'm so thrilled that now it is truly being used for multiple disciplines and all kinds of arts events. And it's great. Thank you. Thank you all.
Love you, Kay.
Now, everybody stay here. The party isn't over yet. I promise we'll get to Jacinda soon. You're all like, what did we come to? But first, I want to be the first to welcome to the stage our Director of Operations, Bethany Gold, who has another contribution to this dedication. Bethany?
Thanks, Jordan. So I honored Kay for her hard work this evening, but there was one person that's always like her son. That is transition to the Arts Center building and ready to help her with her every need. And we also want to take a moment to thank Pam Henderson. We'd like to recognize you tonight. She's an excellent artist in her own right, was a staple of the Arts Center for many, many years. She was the face that lived you as you entered the building, and she helped make this place a reality. Pam, we are honored to have you here tonight, and we would also like to recognize your work with the GRAC by dedicating the main administrative office here in our building in your name.
Hooray!
Congratulations, Kate and Pam. Now, before we begin, as all came here to enjoy this evening, it is my honor to introduce our author and professor, Jacinda Townsend. Jacinda Townsend grew up in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and left for Harvard at the age of 16. It was there that she took her first creative writing classes. While at Duke Law School, she cross-registered in the English department, where she took her next deep formative writing workshops. After 4 years of being first a broadcast journalist and then an antitrust lawyer in New York City, Jacinda went to the Iowa Writers Workshop, where she received her MFA before going on to spend a year as a Fulbright Fellow in Cote d'Ivoire. Jacinda is also the author of St. Monkey, which is set in the 1950s Nocturnally, and it's a love letter to the Black community. St. Monkey won a 2015 Janet Hattinger Kafka Prize and the James Edward Cooper Prize. St. Monkey was also the 2015 Honor Book of the Black Caucus of the American Library Association. Jacinda has also written 2 other novels, Mother Country and the forthcoming James Love Street. Her work has been praised by many major publications, including the New York Times. Today, Jacinda is, among many identities, a mother, writer, and professor. Please welcome the incomparable Jacinda Townsend.
Slip that one in. How you doing, Jacinda? I'm good. I'm not seeing my mic is on. I told her we make this a bit, so let's see. All right. Ah! All right, let's see here. I'll say. It's always the tag, isn't it? Please hold. For technical difficulties. Let us know what you need back there. Maybe just say testing. We'll get a hands up. That's what we'll do. This is why I took improv theater classes. Do it on the fly. Okay. Let's see if this works. Woo! Oh. No? Okay. Just. This mic's on. All right, I'll take this one. You came on.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Perfect. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes? I swear, it's always the tech. It's the tech. All right, Jacinda. Great to have you here.
It's such an honor to be here. I can't even tell you. Now, let me head over and let me
so thrilled. And I was telling her how in 2014, I think it was Valerie Scott, no surprise there, Valerie Scott introduced me to this book, and I bought it immediately, devoured it, loved it. I reread it for today, but I've read it a couple times over the years, and when I took this job in July, I said, there's one author that I have to get to Mount Sterling. I know for certain, and that's Jacinda Townsend, so I'm really glad to have you here. The first thing I want to jump right into your background, and so the folks can learn a little more about you. We actually have something in common. We both went to Harvard. So tell me a little bit about something controversial that you did while you were a student at Harvard that I think is, it speaks to your voice and your power. So just tell us a little bit about what went down.
Sure. So it's funny because if you've known me more than 10 minutes, you know I'm actually a really shy. But I'm also a really clumsy person. I'm better now. Okay. So I'm also a really principled person, and it's funny because I'm not school board president now, and my vice president is like, oh, if they say it wrong, I'm gonna go there, right? So when I was in college, someone hung a Confederate flag in her dorm room. This was in the 90s. Alice Haley was visiting the week she did it, and I thought, oh, that is such a slap in the face to him and to all of us, really. And then someone in support of her, who wasn't even from the Southeast from Maine, hung one in our dorm. So what I did was, and the administration was saying, oh, this is free speech, and we can't have them take it down. So I had a bed sheet, and I got some spray paint, and I put racism now with a question mark and the swastika on the bed sheet and hang it out my window. And then it kind of forced this conversation about, it's free speech, but what's offensive to some people is offensive to me, what's offensive to me should be offensive to all people. So it really forced the conversation. It was, the administration, they tried to talk me into just taking it down. I didn't. It was kind of my first real taste of activism because it flew up into like this national news story. And there's a picture of me sitting next to it in Newsweek to this day. I was on This Week with David Brinkley. But it really kind of, and this is kind of why I eventually became a writer, because it really introduced me to the power of acting on your principle, and it wasn't that I had a bunch of power, it wasn't that anybody was going to listen to this little 19-year-old, but when you figure out what the stakes are and who the stakeholders are, you can really do effective things.
Right. I love that story. I heard about it. She got national news attention for this, so it's pretty powerful stuff for it to be even an undergrad. You were 16 when you went to Harvard.
I was 16. Yes. Yeah.
So she's a smart cookie.
Well, anyone here better than me? Yes.
So you're originally from Bowling Green. So tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up in Bowling Green.
Sure. So I grew up in Bowling Green before Corvette came, which means there's nothing there, and that meant it was beautiful. It was pristine. I remember lying out in this field, just watching the planes go, from Nashville to wherever, and that all changed, of course.
Yeah. And so I do as well, and that's one of the reasons I came back to my hometown, because home means so much, and so I love that you have a Kentucky tattoo. I might steal that from you later. But I want to talk now, I want to shift gears and talk about your world travels.
Yes.
Because you've also gotten out of Bowling Green and done so many things in your life. One of those being a Fulbright to Cote d'Ivoire. And we were talking about this yesterday. We have so many little funny connections. I also studied in Ghana, in West Africa. You studied in Cote d'Ivoire. I was a Gilman Scholar, you're a Fulbright Scholar. And then you also went to Morocco while you were there, and that was a really impactful trip for you.
Yeah.
I love Marrakesh. I want you to tell me, though, why you felt so impacted by Marrakesh.
Sure. So it was an accident. I was in Cote d'Ivoire, and the trip back to New York stopped in Casablanca. So one of those trips, I took the Marrakesh Express. I went down to Marrakesh, and it blew my mind, as I'm sure it did yours, right? But the thing that kept me coming back and back and back was that every time I went back, Morocco is one of those countries that's like a different world every time you go back, and in every city you're in. I mean, the cities are even color-coded. So like there's a city called Shoshalan that's completely blue. It's, the most bullying HOA in the world. Everything is blue. Marrakesh is sandstone, pink, right? And so it was kind of this place where all these different cultures were meeting up and turning into something unlike I had ever seen. So I just kept going back.
And you wrote a book based on your experiences, right?
I did. I wrote it with my second novel that just came out. It's called Mother Country.
And Mother Country is available in the lobby after the performance, after the talk.
Yeah.
So go buy your copy of Mother Country in addition to St. Monkey. Coffee Tree Books from Marquette is here, so we want to thank them as well for being here. Let's shift gears now and talk about St. Monkey.
Yes.
It's really the book that we're all here for. I think we have a little bit of a stake in St. Monkey due to the location. So read us a little passage and then we'll talk about it.
Sure. Finally, come April, the wind blows down from the mountain and starts to wear warm again on people's bare arms. And Grandpa and I sit out on the porch in the punch iron chairs and play checkers. Grandpa is a master, a wizard who can beat anyone in the county. And when I come near winning, he upsets the checkerboard. Afterwards, he doesn't apologize or even speak. He steps off the porch, bends over the grass, and picks up the 3 black pieces that gleam there, a constellation spelling his anger. He scrapes the remaining 21 off the porch into his carpeted box while I wiggle myself into my swing and finger a bit of rust already growing on the chain. Right nice breezes, Sally, is all he says when he comes up and sits next to me. He pushes us back and forth with his feet while we watch the sun sink like a tangerine behind the trees. The forest around Mount Sterling is thick in late summer, a forest for trolls, for knights. 2 kinds of people and some die on their feet, Grandpa says. He says it all the time since my daddy died, and I haven't asked him what it means. I'd rather it stayed a riddle. Across the street, in number 211, 2 little girls are sitting quietly inside, staring at one another. Pookie biting her cuticles, Imogene bringing her wrist to her nose to smell some leftover fragrance, and both of them wondering at, without remarking on, the scratchiness of their father's couch. There they've been sitting while we skipped past their front window, or not so accidentally hit a baseball onto their front porch. There they will continue to sit for the unclockable days until Miss Myrtle decides otherwise, because their father has killed their mother, and now the girls are expected to stay in the house and calmly mourn her. To kill his wife, Sonny Boy chose the most beautiful day we have yet, April Fools. The heat had at last tinged the sky, the haze yellow of spring, and the day so swelled with the promise of the summer to come that it was heartbreaking for the people of Queen Street who knew better.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm sure many of you just heard Queen Street. So this is historical fiction, as we would call it. So I hate to break everyone's heart. This is not based on people from Mount Sterling, but I think that we all, I think that's about your characters is that they are relatable, and that we know somebody like them. And so I think we feel connected to that, and it could be, you know, insert town here, I think, for a lot of people, because, you know, they see someone that they know in one of your characters. But I do want to know a little bit, though, about why you chose Mount Sterling.
Sure.
You could have chosen any town in the world, but you chose the epicenter of the world right here in Mount Sterling. And also, what research you did. I know you did a little research for this book.
Yes. The epicenter of the world is Bowling Green.
Okay, well, as a former hilltop, I'll let you have that one.
But in all seriousness, actually, the reason I chose Mount Sterling is in this room because my mother went to college with, I always heard her name as Anne Catherine Scott. She's here tonight.
She's here. Well, I just have to say that tonight feels, you know, there's almost a mystique about this moment, the fact that you're here, you wrote this book, you know, you came to Mount Sterling, and maybe you didn't even know you were here. You know what I mean? And your inspiration is here, and you're here in downtown Mount Sterling, literally on the street where one of your characters walks in the book, and I just have to.
That's what made me too.
Yeah. So really, just it's so wonderful, and that's the thing about historical fiction. You know, we don't know, and unfortunately more so with Black history, we don't know a lot of the stories, and so you imagining this for us, for our community, for our Black community, for everyone here, I think that there's something really special about this book for our community, and we appreciate that. And did you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say, like, I always tell people, in a way, it is a love letter to a time that is in a little way gone, because as so many of you probably know, when the slaves were freed in this area, there were some who were then recruited to sort of work on horse farms. So there are all these Black communities that ring around Lexington. They were little tiny Black communities that have kind of disappeared, you know. But in thinking about that culture and how that culture lived on, I felt like Mount Sterling was kind of the place where that would have happened, you know.
Yeah, well, and for everybody's knowledge, on the back of your program, we are hosting the first ever Nancy Green Pancake Queen Festival, and we're very excited about that. She's a hometown hero, the first person to play Nancy Green, or I'm sorry, to play Aunt Jemima. To me, it's Nancy Green. To play Aunt Jemima, and you know, her rise from slavery here in Kentucky County, and I didn't think that we have to grapple with, right? But also for her to rise to prominence and be the first living you did a lot of great research on, one thing that stands out to me in the book is the streets.
Yes.
So, and we know our streets because we only know a few of them, right? Downtown at least. So, one of them that is very commonly used is Queen Street. And so I think that also, to me, opens a conversation about redlining.
Yes.
And the history of redlining, and also how it is still having an impact today. And if you're not familiar with redlining, please go Google it after this, and it's whatever rabbit hole about the history of redlining. Yeah.
And it's so different. I mean, it's really interesting because one thing that informed my thinking about this book was, in a way, integration kind of destroyed a lot of what Black America had, because as in this book, and the community I sort of used this model was actually a little bit in the 50s, 60s, and even when I was growing up, there was a Black doctor, there was a Black lawyer. That's who we had to use. That person got all the business in the Black community. The Black community was very concentrated in Bowling Green. It's State Street and the streets around that area. And so redlining has become, in 2023, unfortunately, a way to sort of disinvest from Black communities, Latino communities, and to keep them disinvested, because we no longer have to go to the Black doctor. We don't need the Black chaplain.
Right. Yeah. Well, and if we had 3 hours, we could
Talk about
dive into a lot of issues here locally, the voice school burning, and it's many things that go into that. We talk about the Board of Education, but putting on my education hat now. But we can talk about it later.
You really jumped on this forward. Yes.
So, but just to continue on this conversation on San Lucky, you and I were talking about, and I don't want to give away the story for those of you who haven't read yet. The stigma attached to leaving a place versus staying in a place. So talk a little bit about that, a little bit about the characters in the book, and what that means.
Sure.
Since a place.
So the non-spoiler sort of introduction to this question is that one girl wants to be an actress and go to Hollywood. She's really a different hair, just beautiful hair. And when her father kills her mother, she has to stay behind and take care of her sister. Meanwhile, her friend, who's never really dreamed of leaving, is discovered in the church. She's a brilliant pianist. And she goes to New York, and she's part of the jazz world in New York. So one of them gets to leave, one of them has to stay. But a lot of the book is about this question I think we all have about, if you stay, how do you grow up? If you leave, how do you grow up? These are two entirely different trajectories, right? And so, I don't want to spoil it, but at the end, both girls are bad. Having lived.
I think you might have spoiled it. No, but it's still a great journey.
Yeah, the journey, but that's not spoiled. It's not spoiled. And certainly the ending, like, it was a book club. These women were, like, mad at me. It must be a good ending.
Well, and it's funny because I work with a lot of young people here, and I was a young person here years ago, and there's a sense in Appalachia, and I actually talked to Silas House about this as well, one of our last others we had here, that young people often say, and we've all heard it, there's nothing to do here. Or, which is not true. But also, there's a mentality of like, I gotta get out, I gotta go do something. And I myself did that. I lived in New York and in Washington, D.C. for 10 years, and I came back. And I think there's a beauty in seeing what you didn't see before.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think you really capture that in the book, the way that they talk in the beginning of the book, of course, it's throughout at the end. So sense of place is very strong. Tell us a little bit about how you write, because this book in particular is kind of written in an interesting way. So
when I was writing this, I had one kid when I started it, and I had 2 kids when I finished it. And I sold it, actually. I was holding in my never forget, my editor called, my kid was asleep. She swept her diaper while I was on the phone selling the book. So there were some years, but the chapters are short because I am a big believer in writing is a habit for me. I do it almost every day, but what that has meant, because I'm also a single mom, is that the chapters have to be short enough that I can like revise during my piano lesson or skating, you know, I mean, they have to be short. So process kind of informed form. As it turns out, I feel like the story was best told in this way that, you know, and if you haven't read it, there are two different voices. There's the dreamier girl, she's a pianist, and then there's the actress, the girl who wants to be an actress. She's very angry, particularly after this murder.
And one other thing that I can really capture well is the 1950s Black vernacular. You know what I mean? I think that was that hard to do?
Oh, Jordan, I had a chart.
A chart?
I had a chart. So my grandmother spoke in this way, right? But, you know, people don't say these words in sword. Does anybody even know what that is? What a swarm is?
Swarm.
Yeah. No, okay, so a swarm is actually a swarm of bees, right? Mary, do you guys still say that?
I know Mary.
Okay, Mary, yeah, right.
Say that at me.
Mary, right. So and then I had a chart of when you say worm versus when you say worm versus when you say wasn't. Because we don't think about this, but like in Appalachian diction is actually very complicated, right? And one thing that is like really irritated me about the reception to the book is that people don't get that. They don't get it. The audio book, I had a hard time listening to it because it was done in this way where the woman had she had a southern accent, but that's not our accent.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and I had auditioned for the audio book, so I was like, okay, if we're not gonna do it right, why not let me read it?
They didn't pick you?
I think someone who can really do a southern accent.
Oh, come on.
So yeah. So that was important to me. So I did. I made a chart.
Yeah. And it's you know, and I think for those of us who are more in tune with that dialect, you know what I mean? I think that it's always appreciated when you can hear it as you read it. You know what I mean? I'm a theater person though too, so I kind of am reading almost like a script, you know? And I think that if you're not in that world, it's sometimes
And there's I mean, I always tell people this, and I know everyone in this room knows this, right? That in American literature, it is presumed that everyone reading it and everyone writing it is some upper middle class person from New Hampshire who like voted for Hillary Clinton and does not live in a trailer. You know, and I think one of the next presumption is that like Kentucky doesn't even exist. Certainly like Black Kentucky doesn't exist. We don't have our own accent. We don't have our own culture. You know, and so every book I've written is set in Kentucky because I'm like, no, like we are a rich people.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. And I have, in the past few years, really gotten, I think, more in touch with, you know, when I'm in the Northeast and somebody says something bad about Kentucky, you know, that's fine words.
Right.
That's fine words. Nothing there, you know. I'm allowed to say that. Yeah, it's something that we're doing a big push for is Appalachian culture. You know, the huge impacts on culture, music, and literature, and poetry, and everything from this term coined by Frank X. Walker. But and I think that leads us to a great question. What does it mean to you to be a Black Kentuckian?
That is such a good question. So one thing is we have state. Although this may be a controversial take in this room, but you know, when I meet Black people from elsewhere, they have a whole different culture than we do. You know, I think that a lot of Black Appalachian culture, like a lot of Appalachian culture in general, is kind of informed by geography, and that there are people, including Black people, who just kind of went up on that mountain and did not come back down. And they had reasons. So the Black people had especially good reasons, right? And so I think, you know, we're
the wider state the most. But
Yes.
we do have pockets of people of color, and they're very strong communities and very tight-knit communities, and are very proud of their community. You know what I mean? And so I think that we can't think of ourselves as a monolith, and we have to let other people know too.
Yeah, and you raise an important point too, that this is actually, it was, when I was growing up, this is the whitest state south of the Mississippi line. So what that means for Black people in Kentucky is that we have had to really stick together. When you have a community where you're 0.3% of the population, there's 0.3% you have to really form a community.
Right, absolutely. Do you have, speaking about being Black in Kentucky, do you have words of encouragement for young folks who are listening tonight?
Sure. I mean, I just, I wish someone had said to me when I was young, that this sounds so corny, but you really can't do anything. I mean, my life is still unfolding. I never thought I'd go into politics. I went into politics at age like 48, right? So if you're young and you feel like there's this track, just know it's not real. You can do whatever you want.
I love that. I'm so glad you said that. And so, just a little plug here for your new novel. It's coming out soon. Yes, James Loves Ruth.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that one.
Sure. So that one is about a woman who, I think it is set partially in Kentucky, a woman who, she's in California as a kid. Her father is killed in an afternoon of police brutality. He's killed. She changes her identity, moves to Kentucky. When the novel opens, she's just filed for divorce, and her husband is like, that's not your real name. And so the novel's about him kind of discovering who she is as she sort of goes back to this place of grief. Because she's never grieved. She just decided to change her identity.
Great. Can't wait to buy it and read it. So I'll be looking up. Do you know when it's coming out?
No.
No, not yet. Okay, we're on friends. Okay. Last big question. We're going to do an audience Q&A, and I'm very excited for it. Where have you've been on all these amazing adventures, Morocco, Cote d'Ivoire, law school. We didn't even talk about law school. All of these amazing things. So I can go on and on. But where have you landed now, and why are you there?
Sure, yeah. So I am teaching at the University of Michigan. After going the road for business, I'm going to come back to the Midwest, and I also left academia for a while. I was working at a software company, and I thought, my love is this. My love is literature, my love is in the arts, and I wanted to come back. So I was really lucky to get this job at Michigan, and it's a joy.
And our is great.
It's great.
You can literally find any kind of food you want. Lots of arts, lots of culture. It's a good place. Well, and I want to also just call, she's on the Ann Arbor School Board, so we just want to thank you for that. I know that's probably fun right now. So thank you for taking one for the team on that and going into politics. We need more warriors like you. Well, this has been wonderful. I want to open it up to the audience, Jacinda, if that's okay with you. And if anybody has any questions for Jacinda, we will take them now. Any questions? We've answered them all. Oh, here we go. Okay. Valerie, come on. Valerie, you can have my microphone. Come on.
And remember where you were, just kind of take us there, and you were walking around,
where, we recognize that we're the present, but the present is also the past, and the past is the future, and we're living in all of that at once.
Yes.
And there's something really exciting and haunting about your book that helps, at least for me, and I hope that other people have felt this too, is that it brings to life, like I was saying earlier, historical fiction is a past that we don't necessarily know all of,
Yes.
and it helps us to imagine what it might have been and fill in a lot of the gaps that our imagination is trying to say, what buildings were here and where did people walk, and they walk down Main Street and go to the store, and the people they talk to, and they go to the Catholic Church, and there's a scene in Camargo, and there's a scene in Hope, I think, or Judy, one of both of those, Judy and Hope, and just to imagine this place in a different time, because we only know it as what we know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And to think that, to imagine that Black community in Camargo, there's something really magical about that, because there was. And so, just again, commending your book for that, inspiring that magical realism for us, and a little bit of real history and a little bit about imagination.
And it's just going to think that like 40, 50 years from now, it's not over. We're reading a historical novel about like this time.
Yeah.
And it'll be the same length in a lot of ways.
Right.
That's what I really enjoyed about visiting with the past is that yes, it is. This young girl is angry for a lot of the same reasons young girls are angry now.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And to speak about Jim Crow, I think she had a lot to be angry about. You know what I mean? And so I don't want to say any points. I want you to read the book. But do we have other questions? Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes, come on down.
Yay, come on.
My daughter's 24, and she wishes to go to Morocco, of all places. And I know that when I researched that, it's a third world country. But I want to see, I wanted you to maybe talk about that, because I understand it's like a, second class for women. And maybe,
Yeah, that's an interesting. Sure, that's a good question. I always say, Morocco is kind of like an abusive spouse because 2 days will be kind of hard, and the third day will be so magical it won't even matter. You will remember the other 2 days, and I think that has a lot to do with being a woman there because, and I don't know. You can, Jordan's been to Marrakesh too, but I felt really, and I was there with 2 little kids too, and so there was a lot of like, the cab driver knew he could charge me 3 times the price because what was I going to do? I can't get in the stroller. We went to, we got a Virgo, and the woman who was supposed to be renting it wanted to know why I was there with no man. But Morocco's come a long way. I've been going since 2001, and it has gotten so developed, and a lot of that attitude has pretty much died,
Yeah, I would agree. I'm obviously a man, so I didn't have a lot of the challenges I think women have there, but I had a lot of friends who were proposed to by their cab driver. That'll be $50 and also being married. But, and I think that's just a cultural thing and kind of get used to it. But also, so many good things outweigh bad things.
Yeah, it's a magical place. I hope she goes.
Yeah, get lost in the suit,
Exactly.
Great. Any other questions? We have time for one more.
Yeah.
We have one.
Oh, I love that question because everybody fought me on this title, but there's a chapter where the Caroline, the girl whose father kills she's outside fighting with this boy, and her friend's grandfather says, she's a monkey, and Audrey's listening, she's a saint. So a lot of the book is about how people have voted them. People, at the end, you find out, yeah. So, somebody really has.
Find something out.
Yeah. And so,
I'm trying to sell you books. Come on.
it's a lot. I'll just say that. So yeah, it's about how we all have the things in us. Yeah.
Just a reminder, after the presentation, out in the gallery, you can get your book and get it signed by Jacinda and have a few words and a photo with her. So we just want to thank you so much for being here. This has been wonderful. And thank you to everybody watching on Facebook. Jacinda, we can't wait to have you back for your next book. I think you should take your next one in on Sterling. Say love you too, you know. We just want to give you, as a token of our appreciation, some Mount Sterling themed gifts. And we thank Mount Sterling Tourism for that gift. And we have, yes, so thank you so much, Jacinda. Really, really appreciate it. Yes. And on the 25th of February, we have the cabaret, the annual cabaret. So please come and be a part of that. It's going to be a wonderful performance with local performers. It's always a good time. So that will be on March 25th at 7 p.m. And we hope to see you there. We have a lot of events coming up. So be sure to check out our website, GRAC Kentucky, GRAC.org. And we will see you next time. Thank you everybody for being here.
Larry? Well, I had a friend down there in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We got to fight out here. I said you want me to. I said you'll take a group. Oh yeah, more fun. Oh, I should not.